Service Chairperson for the League of Women Voters for the Mid-Hudson region. And I welcome all of you, and I welcome the candidates, and thank you, Terry, for letting me use your mic. Tonight, we have for our moderator, Yolanda Jansen. Yolanda is the president of our league. And for our timekeeper, sitting down there, Kim McAvoy, and all you three up here are going to keep a close eye on her. And we have many league members helping us sort and condense, in some cases, questions where there's a lot of questions about one topic. And I'd like to thank Daisy Tyler, Annie Needham, in the back, Jackie Moriarty, Esther Stickley, and I don't know if I missed anybody, but the league certainly enjoys doing this, and thank you for all being here. And now we'll start, and Yolanda will give you the rules.
I'm going to practice my projection. The candidates have agreed to the following rules. Each of them will have up to 5 minutes for opening remarks, and the timekeeper will let you know when you're 1 minute, 30 seconds, and stop. Okay? The questions that are being asked by the audience are going to be brought up to me. I will ask them on your behalf, and the candidates will have 2 minutes to answer. They don't have to take their full 2 minutes, but they will have 2 minutes, and the timekeeper will again warn you. We're going to rotate. So initially the opening remarks will start with Terry. Then as we answer the questions, the first one Mike, then the second question Hunter, so that it's never the same first person to speak. And at the end, we're going to stop at 8:45. They have 3 minutes each. So at 8:35, we'll do the closing remarks at the end of the evening. So first up, Terry, off you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean, for all the hard work that you did putting this together. I'm running for Ulster County Executive this year because you deserve a choice. I believe that every resident of Ulster County deserves better than you have now. This past winter and spring, 2 things were really bothering me. First, it looked like the incumbent was just going to get a free pass. Second, my opponents plan to rip up the Ulster and Delaware historical rail corridor and replace it with trail only. The contract with the company that leases the train tracks, that bring revenue into our county budget, expires next year. And that means that the outcome of next Tuesday, November 3rd's election, will either set us on a track to save the railroad or rip up the tracks and replace them with a trail. But the railroad is just one of many examples of the differences between my vision for Ulster County and my opponents. And it is an illustration about the real issues. The need for a vibrant economy, the role that small businesses play in that economy, and what the county executive can do to help. At the end of 2008, according to Andrew Cuomo's Department of Labor, Ulster County had an average for that year of 85.8 thousand people employed. At the end of 2014, according to Governor Cuomo's Department of Labor, 83.1 thousand people were employed here. That's almost 3,000 less people since my opponent took office. And as of 2013, the most recent data available from New York State Controller Tom DiNapoli, Ulster County ranks 3rd in per capita spending on social services in New York State. You can see that report on seethroughnewyork.com. That high ranking might be considered a good thing if you rent to clients who receive these services, but overall it's not good for anyone. In 2015, August, Chuck Schumer came to Ulster County and said, "The war on heroin continues to rage in Ulster County, and the feds finally need to get involved." Schumer pushed to designate the county as a high-intensity drug trafficking area, and he also said that the number of heroin-related deaths has quadrupled. That is unacceptable. But I'm sure my opponent will say he's doing something about that, but government is about results. Fewer people employed in Ulster County, the 3rd highest per capita spending on social services in New York State and a raging heroin problem. That's a record of results after being given the chance for second years. Growing businesses, reducing the number of residents depending on social services, and reducing the drug problem will be my #1 priorities as your county executive. Because we need to make sure that all of our kids live to finish high school. And when they graduate from high school or college, that they can find a career here. One of the best ways we can help our businesses grow is make sure that the people we hire have experience growing jobs and attracting investment to our county. When asked about the qualifications of Ulster County's top person in economic development, my opponent said that she's an attorney and has experience working in the executive offices and is taking continuing education classes. Economic development is a profession, and I would hire a professional to do it. Kingston and Shandaken have finally found a high-powered, visible tourist attraction, our historic railroad, yet my opponent wants to tell them literally to take a hike and replace the attraction with a trail. Walter Maxwell of Kingston Community Radio said about the railroad how anyone could consider ripping out these rail lines leading the Ashokan Reservoir is beyond me. It's beyond me as well. Once that railroad corridor is gone, it is gone. Remember the old Kingston post office on Broadway? That was torn down for a Jack-in-the-Box restaurant. Or think even further back to urban renewal or urban removal that destroyed much of the historic rundown. We can keep our railroad and build a parallel trail for hikers and bikers. My opponent has also dumped all 6 candidate forums and debates because he refused to dialogue. It showed a real contempt for the people who organized and attended those debates. League of Women Voters Sororities, Rosendale Women's Club, Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, the Birches of DeSoto Senior Housing, Lake Hill Fire Department, Ladies Auxiliary Woodstock, and the Ellenville NAACP. Last, I have committed to serving all 4 years as county executive when elected. My opponent has not. He already has a Washington, D.C.-based campaign team and a 202 area code phone number already in place. You can talk to the Washington, D.C. political operatives in the Hyde campaign, but not county employees. My opponent's policy, no talking to department heads. Occasionally it happens with permission, but that only comes if you're in his inner circle. The problem with this policy is, and I quote, what you often get is information that's either A, too distant from the source to be authoritative, comprehensive, or nuanced, or B, you will get a willful spin designed to put the best possible face on an unpleasant situation. Yes, in everyday life, you would call that a lie. That quote is from the Daily Freeman. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brianna. I'm 18 years old. I've been a resident of West Shokan for 18 years, obviously. And I'm running as a concerned citizen of Ulster County to fix many of the issues that have yet to be addressed or fixed. Some of the issues that may pertain are drug issues, lack of high-wage paying jobs, filling empty storefronts, and many more issues that concern a good number. Thank you.
This is a little bit like being in the middle of a shark tank. You know what? I love events like this because the truth of the matter is this is what democracy is all about. Speaking to the community, hearing from the community, and discussing issues that really matter, substantive issues that impact people's lives. It's why I ran for county executive the very first time. You see, I just wanted to make a difference. I saw the county government was problematic. It was bloated. It had serious financial problems. We were on the verge of bankruptcy, but in the county, you don't go bankrupt. What you do is you go back to the taxpayers and you jack up taxes. We all experienced that here. We saw the jail project go $23 million over budget. We saw the nightmares that impacted a 39% tax increase. And then we had a huge national financial crisis. In fact, many of my friends said to me, what were you thinking about, taking on this huge responsibility? Don't you know it has to go bad? But the truth of the matter is I knew that's different. I knew things could be very different because this is my home. I was born and raised here. This is my home where I have the most amazing wife and spectacular son, and we care about this place and we wanted to make a difference. And so we stepped forward. And so I'd like to talk about serious things like results. Again, my opponent, I will touch base on a whole host of things, as she said. But I really want to be able to talk about big ideas, big issues that make a difference. Things like the Patriots Project. See, we have homeless veterans living in our county. People who are living under bridges who have fought for the society that we get the luxury of living in. That was a reality. It's a national problem. But I believe we could do something about it locally. And so we did. We reached out, worked with community group after community group. We took a former bluestone mansion that was crumbling, and we've turned it into something that we can all be incredibly proud of. Over 30 homeless veterans have been serviced since it opened up. And I can't tell you how proud I am of that. During the construction process, many people participated in it. But I'll never forget that one day I went over there. It was in the middle of winter. It was 4 degrees. And there was a tented piece in the back with plastic everywhere. And you know what I saw? An iron worker come out from underneath that plastic. He was building a handicap accessibility ramp, a state-of-the-art one that was going to be just the right quality for the kind of individuals we were putting in there, the highest quality of all. His knuckles were bleeding. And they didn't charge a penny because they knew what it was really all about, making a difference. So thank you, every one of the laborers in here tonight. Thank you so much. As a kid who was born on a farm, and the first person in my family to graduate from college, I also understood the value of a college education, the value of higher education, and how they could change the trajectory of one's life. And so we took on an improbable idea, putting a community college satellite campus 100 yards away from the Kingston High School. I was told it was impossible. It couldn't be done. And Ulster County had a terrible reputation of doing things over budget, late, and it wouldn't work. The reality is, it's open tonight, serving the people of our community, making sure that young people that can walk to high school can walk to college. Adults who are looking for higher education are looking for simply additional certifications so they can improve their quality of life and the quality of life of their families. They have a place to go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Strive Project was a raging success, and I couldn't be more proud of it. We've done something very special in the front of the county office building. We've built up an incredible monument to those who have fought and died for our country. There's nothing more to say. We did an enormous amount of work with a huge group of people. They designed an incredible monument. We simply said, don't worry about the money. We'll raise the money. I'll give you the most prominent spot in county government, and we will get this done. The day before Memorial Day, it opened up. Every single day, when I look from my office, what I see is this. Not someone walking in and out of the county office building doing government work. I see someone walking, stopping, experiencing this, and understanding there isn't a government but for the individuals on that monument. It's a very special thing, and I encourage each and every one of you, if you haven't seen it, please do. We streamlined county government in a way that has never been done before. County government costs less today than it did back in 2009 when I first took office, and property taxes are less than they were in 2012. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. The next question. The first question, you have 2 minutes or less. You'll start with you, second, third. This question relates to the rail trail. What is your position on the proposed compromise plan versus rail only or trail only? And are you going to work to get FEMA funds for the rail corridor? Hunter?
Well, so the Castle Mountain Railroad had 40,000 tourist riders last year. 30,000, out of the 40,000, 30,000 came from outside county borders, bringing $3 million in economic value. So I would work to release the Bridge C9 in Boyceville Trestle, the 1,600-foot landslide, and the current compromise gives 2 miles of track between Mount Tremper and Phoenicia, which any obvious person notices that a railroad could not run on a mile and a half, 2 miles of track. So this compromise is not the proper compromise for anyone. The proper compromise is to build a rail with trail. To take the trail, stick it next to the rail line, and make sure there's proper safety precautions involved with that. Thank you.
You got it. I kind of like the compromise because it was mine. The reality is very simple. There are people with great passions on both sides of this issue, and I respect that. I understand there are people who want rail only, understanding and thinking that this is a historic-based operation, and that's how it should be. I understand that there are individuals who want trail only the entire way because they believe it's an important asset and should be utilized by the entire public at all times. I believe there's an opportunity for doing things in the middle and really having a compromise. That's why I brought it forward. To be quite frank with you, I'm the only elected official in Ulster County that's brought forward a compromise plan that allows rail with trail in a certain section. By the way, I also believe it's just as important. If you're poor and you live in Midtown Kingston and your main means of transportation are your feet or a bicycle, you should have easy access to low-cost, high-quality food. And the way you do that is with a linear park connecting Midtown Kingston with the Hannaford Plaza. And by the way, make sure we're very clear about this, the Hannaford Plaza owner wants the exact same thing.
The Catskill Mountain Railroad is a tenant of Ulster County's. They bring money to our budget. They would help subsidize a trail, which would cost the taxpayers money. The Catskill Mountain Railroad needs a destination for its trains going west out of Kingston. There is no reason why the reservoir views can't be shared between rail and trail. The county executive has never spelled out in the railroad storage and maintenance facilities will be in his 2-mile plan. The compromise is no compromise. We can do both, rail and trail, Kingston to Phoenicia. Thank you.
The next question is, do you have any plans for expanding the bus system? And the first person to answer will be Mike.
The answer to that is I sure hope so. It's my great hope that I will work with the new mayor of the city of Kingston and hopefully bring those bus systems together because I think it's critically important. We've done some exciting things with UCAT. There's now smartphone apps so that people know precisely where their bus is. We've seen enormous ridership increases, especially in the SUNY New Paltz area, in a loop system that we work, by the way, that's paid for by the college, not by the taxpayers of Ulster County. I also believe that public transportation is critically important if we are to become the kind of county that I know we can be. Access for everyone, everywhere. UCAT, by the way, significantly improved over the years, not the least of which environmentally. We now use biodiesel so that our emissions that harm our environment are drastically reduced, and I'm very proud of it.
When I talked to senior citizens in Walker Valley and said, tell me what senior citizens want, they said, we want to go to our doctor's appointments in Crystal Run, in Orange County, in Middletown. Whether that is expanding our bus service or having a sort of accessoride where they call and get a ride. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be the best choice for the taxpayers of Ulster County. The main thing that I heard campaigning all summer long from senior citizens is, I'm not driving at night anymore. I'm not driving anymore at all. And I need to be able to get where I'm going. Providing transportation for our senior citizens is important, whether or not that is by expanding the bus system or by some other option. We're spending less on care and services for seniors than we are on social services. We need to create jobs in this county to lower the social services spending so that we can take care of our seniors and do what's right for them. Thank you.
Hunter?
I think we should expand our bus services across the county. Everyone should have the ability and access to free transportation. One way to be free education, free bus service to the residents of Ulster County is to reallocate taxes and funds for other projects. Thank you.
This question regards the oil trains. The questioner calls them bomb trains and is obviously very concerned about their impact on the community and wants to know what are your plans for protecting the community from these trains, from the noise, and from the risk that they pose. And the first person to answer will be, what was I up to? Did I lose track? Terry.
Thank you. We have fantastic first responders in our county. The people that volunteer for our fire departments are on this. I've attended Ulster County Volunteer Firefighters Association meetings, Ulster County Association of Fire Districts meetings, and the Chiefs meetings as well. At the last meeting I was out, this was a big topic. I can tell you they are on it. I trust them. I trust their advice, and I'm very comfortable with what they're doing with this situation.
Now with oil trains, I don't necessarily agree with oil trains because explosives on the rails, but I believe to make the train safer, the trains going through Kingston or Sorgates is to make sure that the track is properly inspected, make sure the track has proper ties, make sure that the railroad has a better classage of rail. The classage of rail is the FRA allows certain classes for the railroad as a max speed for the railroad that can run on it. So if you allow the railroad to fly down the track on the max speed it's allowed, it's not going to hold up. There's no moving on. So if you get higher classes to the railroad, it'll be less likely this accident happen. Thank you.
As someone who is in charge of our emergency 911 center, I can assure you one thing. The first responders will tell you to a person they are not on top of this. The oil trains, by the way, go into incredibly remote areas along the Hudson, over massive bridges that are over 100 years old, across waterways, above houses, and there's an enormous danger within our community. The truth of the matter is the inspections that are done by the oil train companies themselves. The train operators themselves inspect the bridges. Yes, there's federal bridge inspectors, but far too few to do the job well, and the reality is it's a serious concern. You can't say you have it under control when the reality is around our country, one of these fires has never been put out. They step back and let them burn out because there's no way to deal with it. So the reality is it's a huge issue, and we're fighting with our federal officials to make sure they step in and make a difference, because that's where the regulations come, at the federal level. Not at the state or the county, but we are fighting desperately to make sure that we do something about this, because we are seriously concerned about what that means. One explosion, like what we saw in Canada, or in so many other places, would be devastating to our city. The radius is extraordinarily frightening. The casualties are petrifying. So the truth of the matter is, they don't have it under control. My opponent should know that.
Do you believe that the current ethics rules for Ulster County are working? And if not, what changes would you propose? This question, Hunter, Mike, Terry.
Well, I'm not I'm a PT political person in training. But so ethnic groups, if I'm correct, are race and religion and culture. So I believe that we need to get people to work together. There is issues ethnically. I need to research more on in Ulster County, but I know there is problems.
Ulster County has an ethics law and ethics committees. It's made up of regular citizens who simply want to make sure that the government lives up to the standards that the people demand. I'm proud of what that Board of Ethics has done. They've continually met, addressed issues, attempted to head them off at the pass. There's no question there's an in-depth ethics forum required of every elected official. It's monitored through the entire process. The county attorney works with the ethics board to make sure that it's done appropriately and well. But the reality is always this: the ethics committee and the ethics laws are only as good as the quality of the individual filling them out. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a right to demand, and I mean demand, more of your elected officials all the time. Hold them to the highest standard ever. I'm proud of what we do. I'm proud of how we operate in our community, and I believe we have an opportunity with the ethics board, with the ethics law, to continually have it evolve so that it meets the needs of the people and the expectations of the 183,000 people that we're here to serve. Thank you.
I have three things on that. First, what I think is just crazy is that the ethics board is appointed by the county executive. It needs to lie with our county legislators, not with one person. Number two, we need to strengthen our sexual harassment training and our policies regarding that. Number three, pay to play. Campaign donations and county contracts should be disclosed. If you have people that receive a county contract that are contributing to your campaign, the taxpayers deserve to know that information. That should be changed. Thank you.
Please comment on the importance of public green infrastructure for Ulster County and your plans for it in the future. Mike, Terry, Hunter.
I mean, really what you're talking about in this situation is things like open space. You know, when you talk about public green infrastructure, some of it's public space, some of it is critically important things, like utility-scale solar projects. I'm excited about what that means, by the way. We're talking about being able to provide utility-scale solar on former town landfills, to be able to service, by the way, our entire community college's needs, 1/4 of our community college's entire electrical needs, to be able to make a difference in our community. When you talk about being environmentally friendly, I'm proud to be able to tell you that Ulster County is the most environmentally friendly county in the state of New York. Now, most counties provide 15% of their electricity through renewable sources. With our executive order, Ulster County receives 100% of its electricity through renewable resources. 100%. In fact, we have earned a unique designation with all the actions that we have taken throughout county government with respect to the environment. And that designation is the only county in the New York State to be net carbon neutral, and the only municipality in New York just recognized as one of the top 20 municipalities in the country by the federal EPA.
legislature was the first to pass the ban on the use of hydraulic fracking fluids in the county. That was a law that we passed. That has teeth, not like an executive order, which is not enforceable. The other thing that we have going on in this county that I would love to address is the issue of what they call electronic smog. That's a pollution of radio waves that people sometimes don't know that they're affected by them, but many times they are. Also, I have a very good friend in the audience who works for a solar company. I think if you only need to look over to the town of Esopus, John Coutant was a leader in providing solar for a municipality. No one person or group has a monopoly on green infrastructure. We all care about the environment, and so do I. I'm your county executive. You can bet that I will be a responsible steward for our environment. Thank you.
I will give tax incentives to attract solar panel manufacturing firms to Ulster County. Instead of giving the company money, I would give vouchers towards purchasing their panels. Kill shelters. I'm completely and 100% against kill shelters. Killing off innocent dogs and cats ethnically is not proper. I would ban glyphosate as a herbicide in our county highway departments. I have them use vinegar and castile soap to keep internal kills of the plant more environmentally friendly. I would also stop turbid water being released from New York City, Shokin Reservoir, down the Esopus Creek. It's killing off our ecosystem and population. Thank you.
What can you do to help young people ages 18 to 30 obtain jobs in the city of Kingston area? Terry, Hunter, Mike.
Well, the first thing we need to do, as I mentioned in my opening comments, is economic development is a profession. And we need to hire an economic development professional in the county, not an attorney who is taking continuing education classes and has experience working in the executive's office. We need somebody that has a track record of growing our existing businesses, of attracting investment to our county. We need to meet with our existing businesses that we have here and see what their needs are. One thing that I am so struck with the railroad, that they have trained young people that have gone on and gotten jobs at CSX, Amtrak, Metro North. One of the young men that just left the railroad he became a New York State track inspector, and he's now inspecting the tracks that he used to be the engineer on the train on. That's a real job skill that our kids can learn. There are trains in this area. That's a program that we could introduce at SUNY Ulster, at BOCES. The other thing that's coming our way, Montreal is opening in Sullivan County very soon. There will be lots of jobs. I can tell you right now, you want to get a job as a dealer, learn how to play craps, learn how to deal craps. Craps dealers are very much in demand. It's a hard game to deal, a lot of math, but if you can deal craps, guarantee you'll probably get a job. Everybody can deal blackjack. But there's other jobs in a hotel. There's servers in a restaurant. There's people in guest rooms. That is not that far away. From my house to Montreal is probably 20 minutes. For the people in Ellenville, it's even closer. It's a little bit further from Kingston, but people routinely in Ulster County travel an hour. I know some people that travel an hour and a half. I know people that travel down to the city to go to work. But we could have those jobs here if we had somebody working for us that had a track record of bringing jobs here. Thank you.
Between the ages of 18 and 30, the majority of kids are just getting out of college towards the end of the age of 30. So the problem is they come to go find work and their job, try to get a job. The only job they can get is working at Burger King or McDonald's or some low-wage paying job. They have this whole skill and all these skills that they've learned and paid for in college, but there's no businesses or high-wage paying jobs that come with that degree they've gotten in Ulster County. Thank you.
First and foremost, the challenges that we're talking about are not Ulster County challenges. We're talking about challenges that are across the entire country, specifically in the Northeast. We've seen it happen time and time again. But we're also doing something about it with amazing programs like the Guaranteed Jobs Program, where we work with individuals, providing them with skills and move them off of social services and into the workforce, and it has been incredibly successful, providing help to overcome real hurdles, hurdles like childcare, real hurdles like transportation, and making things better. We're working with BOCES, they've done a tremendous job. We worked with SUNY Ulster, they're doing a tremendous job. And the reality is, some of the statistics you have heard are exactly why the Times Herald Record said in their endorsement of us tomorrow that my opponent simply doesn't tell the truth with the numbers. Here's the reality. Since I have taken office, there is 2,000 more people working in Ulster County. We have some of the highest job growth in the state per capita. And I couldn't tell you how excited I am, absolutely excited, that we're making real progress with tech-based businesses. Our tourism economy is up 20% since 2010. By the way, that's $87 million more. Our agriculture continues to increase. Advanced manufacturers are making arrangements with us so we can train individuals, make them available for high-paying, high-quality jobs as fast as we can make them. The reality is this. There's no question it's a diverse economy. The skill sets that are needed are changing all the time. But having a facility like the Strive Project, former Sophie Finn, is critically important because we'll provide the kind of skills that people need and work with employers to make it a reality because we're doing it right now. Thank you very much.
What will you do to improve outcomes for our youth, persons with disabilities, veterans, and senior citizens, and how will you address the increase in overdose deaths? Hunter, Mike, Terry.
Well, so I did a research on how much veterans suffer from PTSD. 31% of veterans suffer from PTSD. And so something to do with veterans properly is to bring in is to give programs such as job placements, permanent housing, suicide prevention programs, and programs that enter back into society. Our youth, I have nothing on that. Thank you.
PTSD, substance abuse, and all the challenges that come with those are something that we deal with every single day in our Veteran Services operation and the coordination that happens with our mental health operation as well. We've expanded services in Veteran Services. We've increased personnel so that we can reach everyone, no matter where you are within Ulster County. We've also provided free legal service in this year's budget so that you can fight for the absolute benefits you deserve. You've earned the right as a veteran. We also understand the challenges that come all across the board on this issue. When you're talking about PTSD, when you're talking about our veterans, what you're really talking about is our heroes. So every step of the way, we deal with that at the Patriots Project. You see, the Patriots Project isn't just a house. It isn't just a facility. It's a place, a central location where all those services are brought directly to our veterans so they can have the experience of not having to work through the government bureaucracy, just the opposite. All those services are brought directly to them, and our success rate is extraordinary as a result. I have enormous debt of gratitude to our Veteran Services operation and what they do, to serve our brave American heroes. Thank you.
It was James Carville, a very colorful man, who said, it's about the economy, stupid. You need to ask yourself, are you better off now than you were in 2008, 2009? The best way that we can help our youth, our veterans, our senior citizens, and those with drug problems is to improve our economy and lower our rank in the state for people that are receiving social services. People need to know where they can go to get treatment. When you finally get an addict to admit that they need help, you need to get them to a place that can help them. We need to lobby New York State to change our insurance laws to make sure that when somebody goes in to get help, that they're not told at the door, oh, I'm sorry, but your insurance will only cover outpatient therapy. Heroin deaths quadrupled over the last couple of years, and that's from Senator Schumer. That's unacceptable. Saving our children's lives from drug overdoses has got to be our focus in this county. The economy depends on it. You can't have a healthy economy when we have a raging heroin epidemic in Ulster County. They're just two separate things. Can't be the same. Thank you.
What will you do to support the parents concerned about Common Core and education, as well as the county legislature who passed Resolution 350 urging the state to repeal Common Core? Mike, Terry, Hunter.
We should be really clear about this. These are called memorializing resolutions. They express the opinion of the legislative body but have no weight. They're often accompanied by an effort to be able to send that to elected officials at the state level so that they have a sense of what the legislature in that particular community's opinion is. That's what these are. They're important. They're valuable. But the reality is they have not been effective. Because there's no question in the world that Common Core is broken. Absolutely broken. The concept of focusing so much on testing is absolutely unconscionable. You see, I'm not just a county executive. I'm a father. I'm a 16-year-old son. And the idea of somehow that all kids learn exactly the same and all kids should be tested exactly the same is inexcusable. And punishing our teachers is irresponsible. There's a reality here. We have an opportunity to do something about this. And there's a committee that's now been formed in Albany by the governor, bringing in multiple organizations, and we'll see what comes of that. But advocating at the county level is critically important, but the reality is fighting at the state level is more important than ever. Now's the time to act. We can do something, address Common Core, and make a huge difference in our community and our kids' lives. Thank you.
First, I'd like to say I am a candidate that was endorsed by the Stop Common Core Party, now referred to as the Reform Party, and I thank them for that. The process, when we talk about memorializing resolutions and the legislature, maybe I'm partial because I was a county legislator, but we represent people, and we advocate for people every day. And when I go out and meet with groups, and I see people here, I see people all throughout this auditorium that I've helped. You may not even live in my district. That I've gone out and I've talked to your group and told you how to get things done, how to get the attention of the state or the county, and it starts with your town boards. The first thing you need to do is get your town board to pass one of those darn memorializing resolutions. That's what the county legislature looks for and listens to. Next, the county legislature, yes, memorializing resolutions are important to communicate to the state legislature what we're going to do. But now, having been a county legislator, I can tell you we have this discussion all the time. And the difference between a good memorializing resolution and one that doesn't have as much teeth to it is the person who's sponsoring it and what are they doing it. Do we just pass it the resolution and just mail it up to Albany? Or do we have residents that are going to travel to Albany and put that in their pocket and show it to the state legislators? That's the difference between a memorializing resolution that means nothing and one that can be a valuable tool for a resident that is trying to affect change in this state. Last meeting with the parents, I go all throughout the county and meet with groups all the time. I would meet with the parents, give them advice like I just gave you. Pass your town resolutions, pass the county resolution, and then go up to Albany and talk to the people, because it's your state senate that appoints that board of regents. That's who you need to get to. Thank you.
Common Core is very bad. Schools should be about learning, not testing. Our schools need to be at a better learning environment. Teachers should not be judged on if they've taught right or what they are teaching properly. Because their teachers should be trusted. Parents should know what they are doing with their children on helping them if they need to help them with homework. Because Common Core, I tried figuring it out myself, is impossible for me to do. It is impossible for me to do it the proper way. And I try to refrain myself from when I do it, try to do it the Common Core way, to do it the proper way. It doesn't happen. I just stand there and shake my head. Why is our children being learned to take something apart, to put it into a million pieces, and put it back together, when there's a simple equation, 5 times 5 is 25. Thank you.
This question relates to the IDA, Development Agency. What do you think, what is the purpose of that agency, and do you think businesses should be held accountable for tax breaks that they receive? That's as well as it's worded. You can flesh it out a little. Terry, Hunter, and then Mike.
The purpose of the IDA is to attract businesses to a particular community. When they're out there working, they like to call them incentives, and after the businesses get them, they're usually referred to as tax breaks. Should the businesses be held accountable? Absolutely. They should be held accountable for everything that's in their contract, but not things that are outside the contract, just the things that they agree to. It needs to be like a prenuptial agreement, an agreement on both sides. What happens if we go down this path, we get married, we enter this contract, and it doesn't work out so well? It needs to be spelled out in advance so that we don't make the rules up as we go along. Thank you.
There's a reason why I say I'm a PIT, politician in training. It's true, I'm a politician in training. This is something I have not heard about and yet to research on. So I'll have to do some more research on it. Thank you.
First, it's important to understand what the IDA is. The IDA is a group of individuals, typically business people in the community, that hand out tax breaks. And there's a reason that they have to hand out tax breaks, because taxes in New York State are too high. That's the reality. So this organization comes together and tries to incentivize businesses with tax breaks. That group of individuals is 100% appointed by the Ulster County Legislature, and they're focused on, again, helping grow the economy. So they make difficult decisions all the time. And yes, my opponent said it right. There are contracts associated with that. What you do is you make promises as a business. You promise that you're going to create this many jobs, and in return, the taxpayers are going to lower your burden and absorb it themselves, because we believe it's just that important. The issue is really simple, and the reason it hits home is because my opponent was in the papers nonstop about this issue. You see, she promised an enormous amount of job creation in her roller skating rink. And the truth of the matter is, it never materialized, and when pushed to simply give back a proportionate amount to the jobs that she didn't create, she brought in an attorney, made sure she found the loophole, and there's no question, it's shame on the IDA in the process. But I couldn't imagine taking advantage of taxpayers and coming before you and then wanting to be the county executive.
question is about climate change and stormwater management. Will the county upsize bridges and culverts so that it can handle the higher storm flows that we anticipate will come in the future, and how will this be funded? Hunter, you get first dibs, then Mike, then Terry.
So with global warming going on, and more rain happening, more snowstorms happening, bigger snowstorms, more rainstorms, we need to upgrade our infrastructure and ditches and bridges to accommodate the amount of water that's flowing from these rainstorms. Every single ditch I see during the spring, during summer rain, it's always overflowing. It's not properly flowing out to where it needs to go. And some places it would flow out to is along the surface reservoir, or surface stream, and into the Shokin Reservoir. Thank you.
We're not worrying about climate change that is going to happen. The reality is it's here. We're experiencing it all the time. We've seen it. Hurricane Irene, Superstorm Sandy, Tropical Storm Lee. What you have seen is absolute devastation in our community. You see, I've been there as the county executive. When rivers and streams and creeks overrun their banks and tear homes from their foundations and create absolute catastrophes. I watched our first responders as they plucked a family off a roof after their house had been torn from its foundation and moved 100 yards downstream. Our Swiftwater rescue team was nothing short of heroic in the process. I watched bridges torn from their mounts. So yes, we have to make major investments. But the reality is the bridges and roads in our community, the last time they were engineered was in the 50s and 60s, when the largest truck that was going to cross one of those bridges was a small box truck. The reality is tractor trailers of today can be 36 tons. It's a completely different world. Plus, the need for pedestrian usage has gone dramatically up in the process. So we're remaking everything. It's a national problem. Now the question is, how do you fix it at the local level? What we've done has been financially responsible for 7 years. And though the normal investment in infrastructure is $6 million annually, I'm proud to say last year we dedicated $15 million, an unprecedented amount, to do roads and bridges. You see, our attention to detail and fiscal responsibility has allowed us to do something very special. We're doing it all over again in 2016, redoing roads and bridges and putting over 400 people to work.
Very good. I hope somebody has a fire extinguisher in here, because somebody's pants are on fire. A contract is a contract, and there's no loopholes in contracts. Contract is a contract. Let's talk about stormwater management, though. Have you ever heard, what's it going to take? Does somebody have to die to fix something? You know, that just happened in Shandaken earlier this year. Somebody died because we haven't been able to get into streams and clear them out. While I said I would be a great steward for the environment, but you know what comes first? People's lives. Our towns. The town of Shandaken needs help. When I was up there at a Phoenicia fishing game, somebody said to me, I like what you're doing on the railroad, I like what you're doing this, what you're doing, but what would you do for Shandaken? And I said, I don't know, help you clean out the streets? Advocate for that? And they're like, yes, exactly. That's a big problem up there. We need to look at that. And regarding the environment, our Esopus Creek has been so polluted by New York City. It's brown. I've been to the houses. People have lost value in their houses, value in their business, because the muddy water comes down, kills the fish, kills the plants. The sediment that is built up, they can't even get their boats through now. That's unacceptable. Thank you.
This is a slightly more specific question that concerns the village of Ellenville. It was a real disappointment that Ellenville did not get the casino license. What would you do specifically to help this hard-hit community? Mike, Terry, Hunter.
We don't have to wonder, by the way. When I saw the reality that Ellenville and the Neville project was not going to be a reality, I also understood one major thing. The challenges facing Ellenville weren't going away. And we needed to step in and do something about it. And we didn't need the government telling the community what was good for them, just the opposite. We believe the ground-up approach, going to the community, working with business leaders, identifying critically important issues that could be funded and make a difference in what was most important. And so that's what we did. We dedicated a project called the Ellenville Million. $1 million dedicated to a series of projects within Ellenville brought forward by the community. Things like soft landing funds that we've now expanded county-wide. We're talking about providing additional grant writing as well, county-wide, for a whole host of businesses as they look to access additional funding. All things that emanated from the Ellenville Million. But the reality is very simple. The dollars for that didn't come from property taxpayers in Ulster County. There was project impact money that was for counties that were neighboring where casinos came from. There's funding coming because of the Sullivan County Casino. That money is coming in the future. Our fiscal responsibility allowed us to act more quickly and move at the speed of business, not at the speed of government, to address the challenges that are before them. I ask, if you're concerned about whether or not that was a great idea, you don't have to look at the editorials that have praised it. I ask you to go to Ellenville and talk to the people who have been positively impacted.
The Buffalo Billion, the Ellenville Million, this is not an original idea. And we see how this is going for our governor now. You know, when I was in Ellenville, the NAACP debate that my opponent couldn't make it to, one of the questions that I got was, what do you think about Solar City? All that money being poured into that deal. Pouring taxpayer money into a community is not the way to revitalize a community. You need private development to create jobs. A one-time shot, I mean, think about it. If your aunt or uncle gives you $100,000, yeah, that's going to help you. What's really going to help you is have a good-paying job where you get a paycheck every year, income that you can count on. There's a trickle-down effect from having jobs in Ellenville. When I was in the county legislature, I traveled to New Jersey and met with a company, Star Snack. They do packaging of nuts, lots of nuts. They do private labeling, so if you go to Rite Aid, you buy some nuts, they're probably packaging there. It was an enormous operation. We didn't close the deal. And I don't know that I have the confidence in the economic development professionals that we have that really are not professional economic development people with a track record of bringing jobs to our economy. So what would I do? Economic development is a profession. We need to hire economic development professionals for Ellenville. Thank you.
It always comes to hiring proper advisors. I would hire someone that knows economic development properly. The person that is currently the advisor for that, from what I've heard, is a lawyer that was at the county level and going to night school. So hiring someone that went to college and also was able to do the job properly, because Ellenville is a very depressed area. Very depressed, barely any jobs. Thank you.
The next question is also a jobs question. Given that most of the tourism jobs are low-paying jobs, what can be done to bring higher paying jobs to our county? Terry, Hunter, Mike.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with the assertion that tourism jobs are low-paying jobs. I worked in the tourism business in New York City for over a decade. And I also worked in Atlantic City at a casino. Dealers make very good money. Like I said, if you want a job, learn how to deal craps. We don't have a training program here in Ulster County for hospitality. If tourism is so important to us, why don't we have a certificate program, either at BOCES or SUNY Ulster? Why aren't we a hospitality school destination? Even though we know that Montreat is coming right next door in Sullivan County, I have not seen any movement to bring a tourism class to this county. I used to teach hospitality, introduction to front office operations, hotel management, at the Catherine Gibbs School in New York City. It is a profession. People make good money. Those are union jobs. Union jobs pay well. They have a great contract. And I hear that, because I know the union that's coming up, Local 6, there's some pretty fierce negotiators. So I would say that tourism jobs are not necessarily low paying. Just like economic development is a profession, hospitality is a profession as well. And we need to train our youth to do those jobs so that when the developments come, once Williams Lake reopens, once the Bel Air Resort gets open, we have people that are trained to do these jobs. Thank you.
I think it's important at this point that I begin to defend someone's honor. The economic development person in Ulster County is an extraordinary attorney. She's an amazing person named Suzanne Holt. She graduated from the Premier Economic Development Program in the United States, according to the Wall Street Journal at the University of Oklahoma. The YWCA has recognized her as a 2015 Women in Government and Hudson Valley Magazine, her top 10 women in business. She's helped deliver over $28 million from the economic development funds at the state level to Ulster County, and unemployment is down from almost 8% to just over 4%. And she's doing an extraordinary job. I agree, by the way, that there are high-paying jobs within the tourism industry. Tourism in Ulster County is a $514 million part of our economy, up $87 million since we restructured our tourism department in 2010. That's a 20% increase. I couldn't be more proud. But there's obviously much more work to do, especially in areas like joint tech-based businesses. We just had 50 tech entrepreneurs up here, some of which are relocating their business. And if you go into uptown Kingston, I know I'm there every single day. You know what you see? A completely renovated community. Things are changing left and right. Companies are opening up, and it is nothing short of extraordinary, especially for somebody who has seen it busy when I was a child, absolutely boarded up and petrifying 10 years ago, and what it has become today is nothing short of vibrant.
Hunter, I'm sorry, Mike took your turn. Go right ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm really excited about this stuff. So, the lowest wage-paying job in the tourist industry in Ulster County is the casco matter. It is 100% volunteer work. Yeah. So, if you're attacking a 100% volunteer organization that does not pay the volunteers, obviously it's a volunteer organization, they have 7 months of the lease, well, less than 7 months actually. So, the lawsuit pending, there's 7 months on their lease left, and you are suing them to kick them off their lease and kicking them off the property. Thank you.
This question is from a person who is concerned about radio frequency electromagnetic radiation and the potential carcinogenic effects on people. What steps will you take to protect citizens from the health impacts of smart meters? And also, what guidelines will you create to ensure that our children are protected from the harmful radiation of Wi-Fi installations in our school systems? Hunter, you get to go first. Then Mike, and then Terry.
Smart meters, Wi-Fi, microwaves give off radiation and give out waves that can potentially hurt you. There's no science-based facts. There's no factual information stating that it does, but there's no research being done. There's little to none research being done. So, to say that Wi-Fi, microwaves, and smart meters hurt people, well, potentially yes, but there's no factual information. Thank you.
I recognize the concerns about smart meters. I'm working with the Commissioner of Public Health to be able to look at the challenges that it faces in our community. And there's a reality. Every single issue that in any way, shape, or form negatively impacts the public health is critically important. Not one over the other, there's a reality here. I want to correct one thing that Hunter said. Hunter, we're not suing Catskill Mountain Railroad, they're suing us. They're suing the 182,000 people in Ulster County. That's a correction that's important, and the distinction is important to make. When it comes to addressing public health issues like smart meters, I don't look at that as anything different than everything else we're doing. You see, what we're doing is critically important. We're striving to become the healthiest county in all of the United States of America, in all of New York State, In the process, it's important to understand where we began. We began in a place that was near the bottom in the Robert Wood Johnson statistics. It was frightening when we first took over. We began to work with our health department, address major and serious issues of public health all across the board. And the reality is each and every year we continue to climb. And now, I'm very proud to say, we're approaching the top of all the rankings in New York State. Now, we're not there yet, and we have a lot of work left to do. But massive progress has happened. And addressing things like smart meters and the challenges that are like that, again, critically important to public health across our entire community.
I learned about this topic when I was serving in the county legislature. I'm not ashamed to say. At first, I thought they were kind of outrageous claims that they were making. But let me tell you what I've learned since then, because I took the time to get to know these people and meet with them. In fact, one of the meetings I just had with them was with the Stop Smart Meters group out of Woodstock, New York. I went to their candidates forum, again, that my opponent was a no-show for. I've been working with them to pass an act in New York State, the Consumer Health, Safety, and Privacy Protection Act. Let me just tell you one part. If there's something out there called a Trojan meter, which on the face of it appears to be an analog mechanical meter, and behind it, there is something else. That's a problem, that's deception, and we need a law that would outlaw that sort of thing. The only way I can describe this sort of issue to you, and it's very, very real to the people that it affects, is an allergy like peanut butter. If you're not allergic to peanut butter, you don't get it. I eat peanut butter all the time. But if you have a family member and you are allergic to peanut butter or shellfish, you could go into anaphylactic shock and die. It's quite serious. The symptoms that people have when they are exposed to electromagnetic radiation, and they're affected, it's a little like hay fever. It doesn't come on immediately, and it doesn't go away immediately. This is a health problem that is exploded with the explosion of cell phones, Wi-Fi, and it's something that we really need to look at. You may be affected right now, not even know it. You have restless legs at night. Try turning off your Wi-Fi before you go to bed. You don't need it while you're at bed, while you're sleeping. Get a good night's sleep. Turn the lights off. Your body needs to produce melatonin while you sleep. Talk to the smart meter people. They're really nice, smart people. There's one in the audience. His name is Weston Blaylock from Stop Smart Meters in Woodstock. Talk to him. He's a really smart guy. Thank you.
Did I get all three of you? Next question. What role do you see for the Maurice Hinchy Catskill Interpretive Center and the Catskill Park and Forest Preserve in Ulster County's future? Mike, Terry, Hunter.
You know, it's important when I talk about this that I don't get emotional, because the reality is Maurice Hinchy in many ways was a mentor, an amazing human being, cared about our environment, cared about the people of our community in a way that was so deep and profound that it helped shape how I act as an elected official. I was there when we cut the ribbon, standing shoulder to shoulder with him, sitting right next to him when the entire dedication went on. No one deserved that recognition more than that individual. As a location, I believe is critically important. It can be an enormous attraction. To have an interpretive center where people can come and address really all that is the Catskills, all that is this amazing place and the pristine environment that we have here in Ulster County, I think it can be absolutely extraordinary. The first steps have been made. We have an opportunity to do something really special with them. I believe it can become a world-class attraction for people who are interested in environmental tourism, have the capacity to go there, learn, and be moved by the incredibly pristine environment that we have here in Ulster County. Everyone should have the ability to have, not just now, but our children and our children's children. And that's that environmental legacy that he has left for all of us. Thank you.
The Interpretive Center is a fantastic place. It's kind of ironic that we talk about what pristine surroundings we have here. For a long time they had a sign up in the bathroom saying, don't drink the water because there is arsenic in it. I think so. And somebody brought it to their attention. We now have signs explaining that we don't get it from the New York City reservoirs, that it will eventually go away. It's naturally occurring, but you still shouldn't drink the water out of the bathrooms there. So what is the Interpretive Center? I think that if we added one little thing, that maybe they'd see a little more traffic. It's got tourist information in it. And I think sometimes the role, they give out tourist information. If you're driving by and you see Catskill Interpretive Center, you may not know what the heck an interpretive center is. So I think one role is to expand their role in promoting themselves as a place where tourists can get information, and maybe even that they have bathrooms, because it's a really, really nice place. I've been in there. I went up for one of the celebrations that they had this summer. The map on the inside is spectacular. So I think that, really getting our tourists to go use it by letting them know what it is would be the best role for the Maurice Hinchy Center. Thank you.
I personally love the Interpretive Center. Best idea I've ever seen. It allows children, tourists, to come in and view the Catskills for what the Catskills really are. The most beautifulest mountain range of the entire world, especially my personal opinion. This is the most beautiful mountain range in the world. You can go there and view what the Catskill Mountains really are. Not just being able to go hike on a hiking trail and experience it, but just facts. I've seen this little place. It teaches you that in essence. Wonderfully teaching. Thank you.
question before closing remarks is about trash. What ideas do you have for improving municipal waste disposal in Ulster County, and how do you plan to address the tipping fees and flow control? And the order is Terry, Hunter, and then Mike.
Flow control was not a good thing for Ulster County. Flow control is a monopoly. A monopoly is never good. Before flow control passed, our tipping fees were $65, $70, $75, depending on what your deal with the RRA is. We now, in Ulster County, have the highest tipping fees of all of New York State because flow control has created a monopoly. Now, some people say that, oh, well, shouldn't everybody pay for whatever they're using? We shouldn't have to subsidize everybody else for the rest of the county. The answer is no, not if we're going to create a monopoly that's going to drive the prices up to having the highest garbage fees in the entire county, in the entire state. The law was so poorly written that the fines that violators of this law pay are so low that it's just easier to pay the fine and take their garbage and dispose of it outside the county. It's a failure. I was one of 5 county legislators that voted against this, and I had to vote against the entire county budget to vote against that. It's a bad law. My opponent took credit for it. I think it's a failure. Thank you.
With flow control, I personally agree on recycling part, but I don't like the idea of us sending trash all the way up to a landfill in Syracuse. Using trucks on the thruway, and it's very expensive to ship 2 or 3 trucks or more a day of waste up to a landfill in Syracuse. So the way to properly fix it is to actually ship it up by rail. You put a translating facility someplace along on the CSX rail corridor, or ship it up by barge. I personally don't like the idea of trash pulling off the barge and going to the Hudson. Thank you.
I'm glad we're here at an event sponsored by the League of Women Voters, since they did a full study of this issue and fully supported flow control as a law. I couldn't tell you how much I appreciate that effort. The reality of this is very simple. The way flow control works, and now we're going to get to a semi-technical, but the reality is this. In the past, people on fixed incomes that never used the RRA were subsidizing reduced rates for large garbage companies. That was the reality of the situation. Since flow control has passed, significant improvements have happened, both with more recycling and more competition. More people absolutely getting into the garbage business because they haven't been priced out by artificially reduced numbers for these large garbage companies. On top of that, consumers have an opportunity to use less and pay less. Use more, pay more. It seems like the American way in that process to make things better. This law passed with bipartisan support under Terry Bruno's leadership, and the budget that she voted against, by the way, was a budget that lowered taxes for the people of our community. It was absolutely unconscionable. And last, but definitely not least in this process, is to understand when we're talking about the RRA, Hunter is right. There is no solid waste plan. The Ulster County Legislature has not addressed that issue to date. We've asked this for 7 years. Shipping by train, barge, plane, or anything else is inappropriate. The idea is to use less and to be intelligent about a solid waste plan and to be able to deal with this in a way that can make a huge difference for our community. We have an opportunity to do something special here. The law is not a bad law. The answer is more recycling, more recycling, more recycling.
He forgot forgot to mention compost. Closing remarks, 3 minutes, in the following order: Mike, Hunter, and then Terry. Thank you.
First off, I appreciate you taking time out of your night to be here. I appreciate people with passion for their government, for participation in the democratic process, for caring enough to sit here tonight, ask questions, listen, learn, and interact. You see, I have great respect for everybody in the room, whether I agree with them on every issue or not. Because the reason I ran for county executive in the very first place, like I said from the beginning, was to make a difference. And making a difference means working with people. I'm proud to say the budgets that we have passed, budgets that impact the lives of virtually every citizen in this county. I've worked with the legislative body, and I'm proud to say that those budgets passed 99.999% intact. And the reason is because there are well thought out spending plans that make a huge difference. And it's not about numbers on a page. It's about the difference that it makes in people's lives. And so whether it was the Patriots Project, or the community college satellite campus near the high school making a difference in the lives of people, or whether it was the monument, or whether it was streamlining government and lowering property taxes for the people of our community, every step of the way I've said to myself, how can we make things better for the people of our community? You see, when I came into office, I told my team one thing: it's going to be completely different. I'm going to issue an anti-nepotism executive order. We're going to do away with cronyism. We're going to streamline the government. It's not going to matter who you know. It's going to matter what you know. And because of that, we've delivered a government worthy of the people, and we have much more work to do. So I look forward to being your county executive, not just today, not just over the last 7 years, but God willing, your county executive going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I can have your support on November 3rd. We have a lot of work to do to continue to move Ulster County forward. Thank you.
So I would like to thank the Women's League of Voters for hosting this forum. I would also like to thank you for everyone for coming out here tonight. I'd also like to thank my opponents for actually coming. I hope to see everyone out there November 3rd. And cool. Thank you.
Good job, Hunter. Yes, thank you for showing that. Here's why I am going to be a great county executive for you. I am passionate about what I do. I believe in what I am trying to accomplish, and I try to have fun doing it. I loved it tonight when Yolanda said to me, "This is going to be fun." It made me comfortable being here, and it made me want to be part of her team on this stage. I've learned that you need to be interested in feedback and evaluation. I worked in the hotel business for over a decade, and the hotel business is all about feedback. Guest satisfaction, employee satisfaction, owner satisfaction, the profit and loss statement, and that's why I attend so many events all throughout the county, the candidate forums, the chicken barbecues, all of them. I want your feedback. But the people side of business is too. I've learned that you have to relate to people as a person first and as a boss second. When managing people, you have to know what their job skills are, their strengths, their weaknesses, their likes, their dislikes, and then use these insights to make sure that each person is the proper fit for the job they are hired to do, and then also use that information to draw the very best out of the person. I've learned that hoarding information or being secretive to boost your own power never leads to success. I have always shared information and knowledge generously with those around me. On the technical end, I'm highly competent on all things computers, spreadsheets, documents, graphic design. I can do most anything on a computer. With a bachelor's degree in finance and a master of business administration, my analytical skills, my book skills, are well honed. At the same time, though, I've learned that it's not all about book smarts. You can't be afraid to show your human side as a leader. No one likes a plastic figurehead. I'm real. I attend events, I talk to people, I get to know you, and I let you get to know me. In closing, perhaps the most important skill that I've learned is to think strategically. Leadership is all about having a vision of where you want to be, having the ability to communicate that vision, and then working to achieve that vision. One of the reasons I decided to run for Ulster County Executive is the uncertain future of the Ulster and Delaware corridor. My vision is to make sure that those railroad tracks stay in place, so when the Polar Express comes to town, and by the way, they have sold over 11,500 tickets to the Polar Express already. I want to make sure that the businesses that count on revenue from that train get that revenue. That the kids who want to ride that train get to ride that train. That the senior citizens, the disabled veterans, mentally handicapped, anybody who can't walk on a trail or ride a bike, gets to enjoy the view as well. I have a vision for the Ulster and Delaware Rail Corridor staying right where it is and connect tourist train operations from Kingston to Phoenicia. And if we can add a parallel walking trail, I'll do that. Thank you.